Oliver, the Great Western Engine, had come to enjoy his new home on the island of Sodor, but he still had a lot to learn about how to be a really useful engine. He was prone to arrogance, especially when others complimented him on his good work. He had just finished pulling a long, full passenger train up the line.
I pull coaches just like Gordon. Duck said so.
Toad, his ever-faithful brakeman, wanted Oliver to feel important, but also tried very hard to keep him humble.
One day, with patience, perhaps you will be more like Gordon.
Oliver didn't always like this, but he knew that Toad was looking out for his best interests. This made their friendship very strong indeed. One night, a terrible storm ripped through the Little Western, bringing fierce winds and lashing rains, which made Duck, Oliver, and the Scottish twins very worried. In the morning, they found bridges swept away and whole stretches of line buried in sand and debris. This made the engines feel very sad.
What will happen to our passengers, sir?
They will have to go by bus until we can repair the line. In the meantime, I will have to send each of you to another part of the railway.
The engines hated to leave their beloved branch line, but they knew it was for the best.
Don't worry. The branch line will be better than ever before. You'll see.
It was decided that Duck and the twins would go help the big engines, while Oliver was sent with Toad to Edward's branch line, where help was needed to take the China clay to the harbor on time.
Billandben are at the works after a recent mischievous incident at the quarry. Boko is strong, but he can only take so many trucks at a time. I have to stay and manage the yard here, and...
Oh, don't worry, Edward. I'll help as much as I can while I'm here.
That's the spirit. Be careful, the China clay trucks are prone to...
Mischief? Oh, don't worry about it, Edward. I've learned much more about trucks since I fell into the turntable well. Nothing like that will ever happen again.
Of course, Oliver. I don't mean to ramble.
But Edward was trying to warn Oliver. The China clay trucks were not like common trucks. They were intelligent, clever, tricky, and most of all, cunning. If an engine did not do right by them, there was no telling the lengths that the trucks would go to get even. What Oliver didn't realize was that the China clay trucks already had quite a considerable grudge against him. They had heard how Oliver had pulled Scruffy to pieces and vowed to pay him out.
He's a brute!
Yes,
we will make him pay!
But how?
One of the wagons had an idea.
There's only one way to tame a brute.
What?
What?
Sweeten him up, and when he least expects it, we'll bring him down to size.
The trucks snickered to each other.
Yes, we'll pull him apart!
Oliver backed down on the trucks, none the wiser that he was heading for trouble. Toad, coupled to the end of the train, had a peculiar feeling about the trucks.
Now, Mr. Oliver, perhaps we should have listened to what Mr. Edward had to say. It never hurts to be a little more cautious.
Toad, I know how to handle trucks.
Toad sighed. Sometimes Oliver could be rather stubborn. Perhaps it was best not to jump to conclusions and let Oliver try. Soon, they were on their way to the harbor with the China clay trucks. Oliver was surprised how easily they came. This was, of course, part of the truck's plan. But Oliver didn't know this.
Look how strong Oliver is. It's a pleasure to go out with him.
Yes, your pull is better than any other engine before.
You're right. I am pulling you better than any other engine. Perhaps I should take Billandben's place.
This struck Toad as a very strange thing for the trucks to say to an engine, but it was having the desired effect on Oliver, who was beginning to feel cocky. The trucks continued to shower Oliver with flattery all the way to the harbor. By then, Oliver was feeling quite arrogant, but Toad could tell that their tone had changed. He wanted to say something, but he knew that Oliver wouldn't listen. Then, it happened.
Oliver the strong engine, so strong that he tore Scruffy apart.
The trucks surged forward. Oliver put every ounce of weight and steam against the trucks. Ahead, the line curved toward the sidings, and beyond was the sea. But Oliver was slowing down, but not soon enough. He crashed through the buffers and dangled precariously over the edge. Then, Oliver felt a jerk, and the train stopped. Toad, red in the face, had braked harder than he ever had before. Soon, another engine came to pull Oliver, Toad, and the China clay wagons back to safety. So Topham came to see what the matter was.
Oliver, your brake van Toad saved you from a nasty accident. You should be very thankful.
Oliver truly was, but he was confused at what had happened.
Mr. Oliver, you became too conceited to see that the trucks were playing an awful trick on you.
Oh dear, I did it again, didn't I?
Perhaps in future, Mr. Oliver, you should recognize that if you do not keep your wits about you and stay humble, that others can take advantage of you.
Oliver smiled. He knew Toad was right and that he was giving his advice as a friend, even if what he had to say wasn't always what Oliver wanted to hear.
Oh, Toad, you're right. I suppose I need to listen to my faithful brake van more.
I think that's a wonderful idea, Mr. Oliver. You'll find that though I can't do much, I can at least be a good friend and have your back when, trucks tried to push you into the sea.
The two chuckled and began to make their way back to Edward's station.